Hey, what's going on, team? Today we're going to be talking about a couple of drills that are really going to focus on the core, and they're also the two drills that I use most to train the core as well. So it's going to be the dying bug as well as the forearm bridge. Now there's a lot of different variations of these drills. However, we're just going to focus on a couple of the simpler ones, and then you can check out the rest of my YouTube videos to see some of the progressions and regressions that'll show up in your programs. Now, if you watched my video, my lecture video on core training, what you'll see is that there's four main abdominal wall muscles that we're trying to focus on. You have your rectus abdominis, your internal and external oblique, and then your transversus abdominis. And what I mentioned in these videos is that really good at creating an isometric flexion contraction, as well as compressing and stabilizing the lumbar spine, the lower spine there, and then also the pelvis. So we need to put ourselves in positions at all times, whether we're deadlifting, squatting, any of those sorts of things, where we can hold our neutral pelvis and move through that motion, but we have to do some drills that are gonna really enforce that mechanic. So today I'm gonna be showing you the dying bug, as well as the forearm bridge, in order to show you how to find a neutral pelvis, hold it, and then be able to move dynamically through it and continue to hold that isometric contraction, and then apply that to drills like the deadlift and the squat later on. So let's talk about the dying bug to begin. So the dying bug starts in the supine position, where I'm laying on my back, and I'm gonna have my knees and my arms up in the air. Now what I'm doing in this position to activate my core is I'm actually pressing my lower back to the ground and really squeezing nice and hard with my abs. So right here you can see there's a lot of extension in my low back, and my low back is off the ground. So I'm gonna bring my knees up and really push my low back towards the ground to try to isolate my core and get that really nice isometric contraction. From here, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna lower my opposite arm. So I'm gonna lower my right arm and then my opposite side leg, so that left leg, reach out, breathe in, and then breathe out through my stomach, and then get back to neutral. Now what I did there as I reached out here is I'm keeping the flexion happening at my core and trying not to let too much extension happen at my low spine. So I'm flexing, holding that position, reaching out, and then coming back to neutral. So another drill that we do often is the forearm bridge. So any sort of bridging really, but today we're gonna talk specifically about the forearm bridge. So the forearm bridge is really good because with the dying bug, we're laying on our back. So there's a lot of feedback from the ground as to whether or not that low back is coming off that ground. With the forearm bridge, there's less feedback. However, now I have to find a neutral spine without that feedback, and this is gonna be much more applicable to like deadlift, squats, and all of your main compound movements. So let me get into the position here. So I'm gonna get into a forearm bridge, and what I'm gonna do, putting my forearms down, my wrists are gonna be stacked right in front of my elbows. So I'm gonna be right here, drive my legs out nice and straight. I'm gonna extend my upper spine, right? So I'm not gonna be really rounded here. I'm gonna extend here. And then see how my low back's really extended? What I'm gonna try to do is I'm gonna try to find neutral here. So here was extension, here's neutral. My abs are really working. I'm just gonna hold this position. Now obviously there's a lot of variations of the forearm bridge, but what you're trying to do is what I just did there, was find that neutral positioning, take that tension out of my lumbar spine, that lower spine area, and put it onto my core. So my core has to work, lower spine doesn't have to work, and then find extension with my thoracic spine. So how does this apply to my squats and my deadlifts and all those other sort of compound moves that I said we need to keep a neutral spine throughout? Well, when I'm going to do a deadlift, I want to be thinking about my spinal position just as much as anything else, right? Obviously we want to push down to the ground, extend your hips fully, all those good things. But I also want to be thinking about my core position and my breathing in order to do this properly without risk of injury, without pain, and to be able to use the muscles that the deadlift trains optimally, right? So what I'm going to be doing here is I'm in my deadlift position, my feet are hip width apart. I'm going to reach down, grab my barbell, and we're immediately going to find a neutral pelvis. So right here, right now, I'm gonna find a brace neutral pelvis, reach down, hold that, and now I'm grabbing the barbell with this nice neutral pelvis. I'm gonna breathe in, and then breathe out, right through my abdomen, and right there I felt my abs working quite a lot, just to hold my pelvis neutral, right? So I'm gonna go down again, breathe in, and then breathe out, and then hold that neutral pelvis the whole time. Now we are going to take a deeper look at this when we do the deadlift describe video. However, I want you to take a really close look at my lower spine when I do a deadlift improperly. So the first video we saw, obviously the angle was a little bit different, but we saw a pretty flat neutral back the whole time. When I do a deadlift incorrectly, and what a lot of people do, and what leaves them with a lot of lower back pain, lower back soreness after their workout, is they actually extend their lumbar spine, don't engage their abdominals, and that leads them to hyperextend their lower spine on the way up in a deadlift. So let's just watch here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start with this anterior pelvic tilt and this extension in my lower spine. So I'm going to be here, right? So you can already see there's a good amount of rounding back here. I'm going to go down, I'll pick up the bar, and I'm not really going to think too much about my breathing either. So I'm going to go down, pick up the bar, hyperextend, and then my first move from the ground, if I do this improperly, is I'm going to pull up with my lower spine. So I'm going to go down, then my first move, pull up, and then down. Now you can probably see there, if you pay close attention, that that lower spine, the first thing it wants to do right as you come up, instead of me pushing down with my legs and using my hips to pull the bar, I'm pulling here first before anything else happens. That is incorrect, and that's what's going to lead to a lot of the problems, maybe injury, that happen with the deadlift. It's the reason why people fear deadlifts, fear squats, and all those sorts of things. It's not because they're bad moves, they're actually great moves. They just do them wrong with improper core training, improper core activation, and improper breathing. That was core training described. Go check out the other videos on YouTube if you haven't. All the progressions and regressions of the dying bug, the forearm bridge, and all the other described videos as well. Check out both my Instagrams, Tiny Whiteboard Workouts, as well as John Williams Train if you want to see more fitness content. And get your core training right.